There is no magic formula for determining the correct mix of debt and equity. Okay. If there is too much equity, the returns to shareholders are suboptimal. EPS goes down, and markets tend to penalize such companies by pulling down the stock price. I will talk more about this later.
Penalizes the company by
Reducing the stock price. Okay, where you should use 100 rupees share equity and 100 rupees debt, you are using 200 rupees equity. So what happens to the share price? Immediately it comes down. I'll give you an example. Okay, to make this point clear. You have this business.
पानी वेस्ट हो रहा है सर उसको बंद कर भर गया टैंकर
Your total, you are running a business with 100 rupees. You are expanding your business by putting 100 rupees more equity. So what is your total equity now? 200. And how much you are earning? 50. So that means your return on equity is 25%. Okay. Here you have over-capitalized. What you should have done is, the next 100 rupees you should have taken as debt. With a 1:1 debt equity ratio, you will get the money at 15%. But your total capital employed is how much? 100 plus 100, 200. And how much are you earning?
85.
50. But what is the cost of debt? 50. What is the return on equity? 35. So judicious use of debt improves your return on equity, and if your return on equity goes up, your market value goes up. Okay, that's what I was trying to explain. Okay, if there is too much debt, the company runs a greater risk of bankruptcy. Okay, lenders become reluctant to fund more, raise their interest rates, and equity investors may sell their shares, thus reducing the share price also and raising the cost of equity. Because if it is too over leveraged, you can't hold those shares. Okay. Finding the right mix. The general rule is that the higher the operating business risk of the company, the lower should be the financial risk. That is, lower the debt equity ratio, which is what I explained in terms of whether it is IT business or whether it is a electricity. Usually there are norms for different industries which provide a benchmark. Within these norms, one has to look at company specific factors such as management, industry position, etc. Okay, very, very important, because IDBI used to set these norms. Okay, and IDBI, I also happen to know, set these norms based on the project submitted by Goenkas. Okay. Goenkas normally pad every proposal by at least 100 crores. उसके नीचे उसके status से नीचे नहीं आए. Okay, 100 crores. So if CESC is putting up a generating unit at Budge in Kolkata, I know it is overstated by at least 100 crores. Okay. Now the thing is, now post liberalization, what has happened is there are something called standardized norms based on international project costs. All that you have to do is to give it a rupee-dollar exchange rate and a percentage point more because of this in India. So you get a good benchmark. But those days, Diwali. Okay. Now, market conditions also influence the mix. That is, if equity markets are good, a company may wish to avail of the opportunity to raise equity at a good price. Markets are booming, but even markets are booming, you go for an issue, it can boom down. As I will explain to you in subsequent, when I am talking about corporate restructuring. Cost of debt.
This equity market was not very good for last 1 to 3 years. Not so many IPOs where.
No, because what do you look for in the future? When will a businessman go for IPO? When he knows he can make money. When the future is so gloomy, which businessman will want to do IPO?
So that means after this election and other things,
Recession के
lot
बाद,
of-
this is the time to invest. In fact, if I have to do business, I would invest when there is recession. By the time I take off, I'm moving with the.
But whether we have bottomed it out or there is a still
No,
chance
no,
of
no.
going
If you're
further.
talking about the stock markets today, it is highly dangerous to invest in the stock markets today.
Absolutely.
Because I think it will go further down.
It
It will
has
go
to go
further.
down because this increase is fueled by liquidity. पैसा है मेरे पास, FIS के पास पैसा है, QE2 जितना हो गया that has gone, but फिर भी मेरे पास पैसा है, ये नहीं लगा हुआ है.
दो तीन बहुत गड़बड़.
Comparatively, it is a better market. You know, that's why. So today's rally, the 21,000, 22,000 you see, is fueled by liquidity and not by risk. It's okay. Different tenors are required to match the type of assets being financed, and because of interest rates are different. And normally what CFOs do, you know, they are judged by how lowest the cost you can reach. The project is going to be ready. Means cash flows will come after 5 years. Normally he is supposed to borrow for 7 years. Indian condition. पता नहीं यार, कोई महाराष्ट्र पोल्यूशन कंट्रोल बोर्ड वाला बंदा आ जाएगा, एक शो कॉस्ट नोटिस देगा. They have the power to say no.
You only have a power.
जैसे किसी को हेल्प नहीं कर सकते वो, लेकिन किसी के काम में टांग अड़ा सकते हैं. So you have to be very careful. Okay. In this case, but the CFO will say, आज के तारीख में 7 साल का मैं कहाँ borrow करूँ? Because the project manager said, I have already planned 2 पैसे raise कर. Typical company. So he goes to the market 7 years. 14.25% का सैलरी. इससे मेरी तो अप्रेजल की तो लग जाएगी. मैं ऐसा करता हूँ, आई विल बोरो फॉर 12 to 18 months. कितने में देगा? इससे 10.25 में दे दूंगा. Borrow period. His boss sees, wow, this fellow has borrowed, because his boss doesn't have enough account to see what is the period for which he has borrowed. Okay. After 18 months, he has to go back into the market. And the moment somebody does that, if as a banker I get somebody like that, I say,
That's all.
because bad integrity.
On part of
Bad integrity on the part of CFO. He should have raised that money, because when he did investment decision, उन्होंने बताया कि 20% बनेगा, तू 14.25 में बोरो करो तो no problem at all. This fellow on his own, trying to into his own this thing, has put the company to greater risk.
लेकिन 10.25 में लिया ना, कितना में लिया?
लेकिन ड्यूरेशन
7 साल का पूरा ले लिया.
नहीं, 18 महीने का ले लिया यार.
18 महीने का 10.25%.
हाँ.
1.5 साल के बाद क्या हो?
बढ़ जाएगा.
पता नहीं. See,
बढ़ भी सकता है.
हाँ. And at that time,
Now, why not to have or because project तो उसमें प्लानिंग हुआ है.
और आज के तारीख में you have a choice of saying no, मुझे रेज नहीं करना है, तू प्रोजेक्ट डिले कर दे. 18 महीने के बाद बंदे ने तो काम चालू कर दिया, कॉन्ट्रैक्ट इन प्लेस, you have no choice, and then you go to bankers will say, sorry, you have to pay.
अब बढ़ ही रहा है.
That is what I meant by trying to improve, artificially improve. Because generally a single lender would not like to take all the risks, so you have a consortium of bankers. The company would also like to diversify the sources and not be dependent on a single source. Very important. Never deal only with one banker. You never know. Different tenors are required to match the different types of assets. If you need it for working capital, take short term, 6 months to a year. If you are doing it for project, you of course need anything between 5 to 7 years. What are the sources? Where can you borrow from? Typically banks. Okay. Then you can go to money markets for issuance of commercial paper. Okay. You can go to capital market. Money markets is short-term market, up to 1 year.
Up to 1 year.
Okay. Capital markets more than 1 year. So you can issue bonds, also known as debentures. Or again you want to borrow short-term. If you want to go to the market to raise commercial paper, आपको rating की जरूरत पड़ेगी. Okay. वो rating है नहीं. I have been around in the market for 40 years, but the market doesn't recognize me. Oh, but that industrialist knows, उसके पास पैसा है. जैसे यार चाहिए, personal guarantee देगा. It's called intercorporate deposits. The corporate give each other. Because bank has nothing to do with it.
Rahul Bajaj.
Rahul Bajaj is,
One
he
number.
used to have at any point in time somewhere close to 700 crores as ICDs. 700 crores.
And then, not now, because they
Then, and of course there are genuine also, like Godrej wanted to borrow. Suddenly the raw material prices went up and he wanted to borrow, somewhere around 3 crores for 2-3 months. Now the CFO of Godrej is a personal friend because we went to college together, Manish, Milind Sarvate. So Milind said, "Yeah, I said, see, banks will not give you." He said, "I understand." I said, "Tell your boss to call up Deepak Pal. They are friends." He said, "Seth को phone करेगा, एक phone call." He says, I said, "बाकी मैं संभाल लूँगा." He made the phone call. Then I gave the proposal. I know every non-banking lending has to be approved by Deepak. Deepak Pal. So this went to. He says, "Okay." Now if you look at the balance sheet, they will not lend. But this is on a personal basis. That is where intercorporate deposits. Padanji Pulp and Paper at Pune. Always surplus, but only to Parsi companies.
Yeah, they only give it to persons. Only community.
Okay, so there are informal members.
And Bajaj and Ferrolias, they only did it to Marwadis, maximum.
No, because they ask for very
High interest.
interest rates, which Godrej will not pay. Now, bank loans, significant source of debt finance for most companies in India. Okay, tenures are usually 3 to 7 years, but could be longer also. It will have grace period, normally first 12 to 24 months. Okay, it is tailor made to suit that specific purpose. Cash flows can be generated or issued only other places. Usually syndicated to a group of banks with one bank acting as a lead bank. Okay, means I want to raise 300 crores. I mean normal आप चाहेंगे कि मुझे ये पैसा चाहिए, ये प्रोजेक्ट है, ये कैश फ्लोज है, ये that is fine. Sometimes what happens is I want to make a bid for that company. अब मैं बैंकर को जाके बता तो नहीं सकता कि I'm going to make a bid. So he has to go to one bank with whom he has a solid relationship. He goes to him, he says, acquisition financing. He looks at the balance sheet, he says, पैसा तो तेरे पास है, इसे मेरे पास 300 करोड़ है. पता नहीं यार bidding शुरू हो जाए थोड़ा 100-200 करोड़ इधर उधर, it is still worth it. He says, fine, I will arrange. Now when he makes a proposal to a group of banks, because he will not take the entire sum, the other banks will say, do you know the purpose? He says, I know, but it is confidential, now we can't do. Fine. If one banker tells another, but if a borrower goes and says, purpose मैं नहीं बताऊंगा, then he says, boss. Okay, so this is how it is. Now maybe it may be in different currencies. That is why I wanted Tata Steel, because I can tell you a full story of how Tata Steel, from the entries in the annual general report, as to how they made the bid for Chorus. Every entry has a story. How they had arranged, warrants, equity warrants, perpetual preference shares, different types of financing modes which they had done. That is why I wanted Tata Finance. Okay. It may be in different currencies. That's another thing. Because when these fellows, when I met this CFO of Tata Steel at a party. I said, "यार मैंने सुना तेरी तो." He says, all this bad news you will hear first. And I said, no, because those days everybody was saying, "Arey, Tata, ye wo and all." He said, "But JLR." I said, "That is Tata Motors." That was considered a bad deal, but they are making more money than Tata. So I said, "Is there any good point in this?" He says, "Yes." I said, "You see a silver lining there?" He says, "Boss, if you look for it, you will find a silver lining." He says, "What is it?" He says, "I did the deal when dollar rupee was 43. आज के तारीख में करता तो मैं तो
हालत ही खराब।
Maybe in different currencies. That's why currencies you have to be very careful. Usually secured by a charge over the assets which are being financed. Okay. Basic document is a loan agreement which also sets out the definitions, representations, warranties, conditions precedent, covenants, events of default, governing law, these are normal standard legal terms. Okay, this is loan guarantee, which also says definitions. Means if I use this word, it means this only. Yeah? Tomorrow you cannot go to court and say, मैं तो वो समझाता हूँ. No, this is the okay definitions. Representations. You are telling me yours is a running business. This is your financial position. कल को change हुआ, you have misrepresented. That is criminal illegal. Okay. Representations and warranties. I warrant that I have paid all my provident fund dues of my employees to the provident fund commissioner. I have paid all the arrears of my service tax dues to the excise department. Tomorrow, if you don't, it's a breach of warranty. Okay. Conditions precedent. I will take this loan only after I am putting up a bungalow of this size in Shahpur. The condition precedent is I will draw down the loan only after I show you all the municipal authorities. Conditions precedent to. Okay, conditions precedent. What are the covenants? Covenants are, I tell you that I will not exceed FSI. I tell you that I will send you regular progress reports. Means things which you covenant, means which you agree, abide as per law to share. Events of default. यार interest is only 1 month due. तू इतना चिल्ला रहा है. Boss, if the interest is not paid within 30 working days of when it is due, it means it is an event of default. Remember, in the law, the event of default means the entire amount becomes payable. You may take a 5-year loan, but if you have not paid the interest even once beyond that period, the entire amount becomes payable. You can't say, नहीं थोड़ा डिले हो गया, इंटरेस्ट पे इंटरेस्ट ले ले और बाकी मैं 5 साल दूंगा. नो बॉस, यू आर अनट्रस्टवर्दी. आई वांट द एंटायर अमाउंट. So very, very important. That's called events of default. What are the governing laws? Okay, I will go to Calcutta High Court. Calcutta High Court is the maddest court in the country. They can give you any blooming decision. No, not acceptable. You can get a stay for anything, sir. Okay, governing law and jurisdiction. I want Mumbai, which has the least number of pending cases. Case has to come up. हो गया 5 more minutes. No problem. Everybody is waiting.
That's right. They are talking about going cold.
5 minutes.
5 minutes. Okay. Money markets. There is a commercial paper. It is called. Okay. This is a short-term borrowing by companies usually for a lower cost. If your overdraft rate is 12%, you can borrow in this market at about 9%. 10%. Okay. Commercial papers are in the nature of promissory notes and are now compulsorily issued in demat form, nothing paper. These are normally carved out of working capital limits from banks that are used to reduce the borrowing cost and better manage working capital. So within your existing working capital limits, you can reduce your cost by borrowing from the market. Okay. Usual tenures are 90, 180 and 360 days. CP products have to be compulsorily rated. P1, P1 plus and stuff like that. I used to run a portfolio of 400 crores. Just placing P1 paper, 400 crores any time I will have in the pipeline. Okay. And the fee is payable was 0.05. So you got to have large volumes to really make. Capital markets, of course. Okay. Bonds are a type of borrowing in standardized form and in marketable lots, like HUDCO bond is 1,000 crores, 1,000 rupees. This makes it easier to sell to a wide variety and number of investors and make it tradable. Because tradability is very important. Bond investors can be both wholesale, that is corporates, mutual funds, banks, FIs and all that, or retail. But this can be retail in India, we don't have much of retail. Bonds, what are the key features? There is something called a face value, 1,000 rupees. Maturity, when the principal amount becomes repayable. Okay, then you have a coupon, that is what is the interest rate which is payable. What is the interest payment frequency? Half yearly, quarterly, monthly, yearly, whatever it is. And there are call features, put option or call option in payment before maturity. What is the security which is offered? Okay. Is there a credit enhancement if HUDCO issues without Government of India guarantee? Nobody will touch it. Government of India guarantee, that is credit enhancement. What is the rating? Where is it going to be listed? BSE, NSE. There. Okay. These are the key features of the bond. Equity. Okay. The equity of a company comprises of its share capital plus reserves. Remember. See, most people think it's only share capital. Reserves are also shareholders' funds. Okay. Equity investors are basically the promoters, institutions, FI, mutual funds, and the public. Equity investors make their money after everyone else has been paid. This can result in big gains or big losses, as I told you about the stakeholders. The returns come in the form of dividends and capital appreciation. Here, dividends can come in the form of return can come in the form of dividend and capital appreciation. It depends on the industry where you are. If you are in an innovative industry, yes. Okay. It is like the 4 stages of a human being's life. Brahmacharya, Grihasthashrama, Vanaprastha, Sannyas. Okay. I have classified in corporate finance the 4 stages. The stage of innovation, the stage of growth, the stage of maturity, and the stage of decline. Okay. So, when you invest in an innovation industry, no dividend, only capital appreciation or depreciation. Right. In the stage of growth, dividend is there, but smaller amount. Much of your income has to come from capital gains. Mature industry, Hindustan, Lever, Colgate, Palmolive, big dividend, not much capital. Okay. So where it comes from also depends on which.
And in decline?
Nothing. Capital दिया है, dividend दिया है. That's all. Okay. As people used to say in those days, अरे अपने बच्चों के लिए तू Century Textiles और बड़ौदा रेयन खरीद के रखियो. If I had done that, my kids would have kicked me. बड़ौदा रेयन तो बंदी हो गया, Century Textiles पता नहीं.
वो अभी भी लेके बैठा. अभी भी लेके बैठा. You know.
Yeah. Equity. Equity investors have the right to vote and influence the working of the company. This is in theory. Please. And an individual or group of shareholders having more than 50% of the equity effectively control the company, although there are exceptions. Like, can you imagine? Steve Jobs established the company and he was fired out. In America,
He didn't have more than 50% at that time.
who? No.
Steve Jobs.
No. He didn't have, but he created the company.
And he didn't have even more than 25%.
I think he had somewhere close to 32% or something.
But then he can stop the special resolution.
There was no special resolution needed to fire him, no?
Ajay.
All the directors said, no, you are unfit now.
For that, a special resolution is not.
Not necessary. Special resolution is necessary when you are in the business of real estate and education. Tomorrow you say, no, I want to get into the business of liquor. That means a special resolution. Because you are changing the
Nature of. Oh, so whatever is an MOU or article of association, if you are altering something, that is a special.
yes.
And is it 25% or it is 24% plus?
It is a shareholding of 25% plus. So if
Or
you are holding
24%
24.9,
It's 25% or 24%?
25. That's why the company is restructured, no? उस बंदे ने कह दिया कि 24.9 तक दे सकता है यार, कोई हाथ नहीं लगा सकेगा मुझे. He says, but I still, if I want to make changes, I said you cannot. Means you wanted for money also, and you want to do money. I mean, come on, give me a break. He said, okay. You know, I will not do money. I said, I entirely have confidence in you, but the outside investors will not go on the basis of goodwill and confidence. They want it on. Sources of equity, promoters of course, public equity markets and private placements. Private placements is a huge thing over the last 3-4 years because there are no public markets now.
In the private placements, only 50 people currently allowed.
That is for debt. This is for equity.
For equity also, 50 shareholders can only take in the private limited company. 50 only.
No, private limited company.
Yeah.
When I talk about private placement, means you don't go to the public. You go to private equity funds, you go to that one. Cost of equity. Okay, there are two ways of looking at the cost of equity. One is expected returns. Suppose I ask you कि boss, what is the annual return you expect? नहीं तो नहीं करूँगा मैं. So you give figures, no? 20, 25, 30, 35, some people will say 40. That is their perception of the risk. Okay. And the second is what is the risk premium? Risk कितना है? Okay. This is known as the CAPM model. That is capital asset pricing model. We'll come to that. How do we do that? Expected returns. Shareholders expect to get returns from their equity investment through dividends and capital appreciation. That is growth. Okay. Share price is therefore the net present value of future dividend inflows discounted at the cost of equity. Now, future is as good as mine. You will say, this is what I am going to make. This one will say, no, I don't think you will make. So, this is called the dividend discount model. America, okay, till 1970, okay, was on gold standard. Gold standard meant that the amount of currency in circulation in the US cannot exceed the reserves of gold, and therefore interest rates were stable. Okay, 3% interest rate, deposit 6% borrowing, happy, everybody happy. Then Arabs got together, they were very happy riding their camels, taking bath once a month. Suddenly they realized the whole world is taking advantage of our oil और हम कुछ नहीं कर रहे हैं. They all got together, formed a cartel called OPEC. उन्होंने कह दिया कि बॉस अभी बंद है सर. They increase the price of oil from $7 a barrel to $28 a barrel from tomorrow.
Was it 7 or 3.25?
No. Then they increased. $7 to 400% increase from tomorrow. Okay. There was chaos in the world. There's global inflation. Okay. And America, of course, Ronald Reagan, cowboy, उसको तो कुछ समझ नहीं है क्या बोल रहे हैं ये. But his advisors told him don't worry. Okay. Because international trade of petroleum is invoiced in which currency?
Dollars.
A huge demand for dollars. Dollars चलने के dollar currencies वैसे भी उनकी बढ़ गई और ऊपर से currency भी weaken हो गई. यूरोप वाले तो so all the Europeans went to the sheikhs. Assalamualaikum. कुछ तो आपको करना चाहिए. He says करेंगे. तो बोला आप Dutch vendors, Belgian Deutsche Mark, English pound, French francs, Swiss francs, किसी में भी इन्वॉइस करो. इसे अभी भी पैसे आने लगे. ये बंदा लाइफ कॉम्प्लिकेट कर रहा है, भाग जा नहीं कर रहा है. आई एम हैप्पी इसी वजह से.